They loaded Whippy and Krampus into the back of the truck. It surprised Jesse that the Yule Lord didn't weigh more. He wasn't exactly light, but still, he seemed lessened, as though the body were a mere husk without the weight of the Yule Lord's great spirit. They drove the bodies up into the hills, the same hills where Krampus had been chained for all those years. It took most of the morning and 2 trips for the 3 of them to carry the 2 bodies up to the cave. Nippy led them to a pile of stones in the rear of the cavern. Makwa's spear and bearhide lay atop the stones. They placed the bodies next to Makwa's, with Krampus in the middle, and also covered them with stones. They laid Whippy's cloak atop his stones, but the Yule Lord's stones remained bare. They stood staring silently at the 3 mounds. Jesse broke the silence. "Don't guess we would want a prayer?" Isabel shook her head, and a small smile touched her lips. "No, but I know what he would like." Together, they gathered up an armload of mistletoe. Then Nippy cut a handful of birch branches. Isabel tied them into a bundle. She arranged the mistletoe around Krampus's mound and sat the switches on top. By the time she finished, it was beginning to snow. We need to get on back before we get stuck up here," Jesse said. Isabel nodded, and they headed out the cave. Nippy stayed behind. "Nippy," Isabel called, "come on, we need to go." Nippy shook his head. "You can't stay here," Isabel said. "Yes, it is where I belong." "You don't belong in some smelly old cave. You're human again. In case you haven't noticed, you're gonna catch your death of cold. I have lived many lifetimes, have been honored to serve the mighty Yule spirit. If the great fathers call me home, I am ready." "What, so you're gonna sit up here and shiver to death?" "Well, I'm not about to stand for such nonsense." Isabel walked back to him, took a seat on the boulder. "If you're not coming with us, then I guess we'll both just sit here till we freeze to death. How'd you like that?" Nippy grinned. "You are indeed his little lion, Isabel. I have no intention of shivering to death. I will serve out my life guarding this sacred cave." "But why? Tell me, what is there for me in this new world?" She sat there for a long minute, but came up with no answer. Slowly, the stubborn left her face, and she let out a great sigh. She stood up and slugged him lightly on the arm. "You got no sense, you know that?" Nippy nodded. Isabel started away, stopped, returned, and embraced him. Nippy held her tightly. "I will miss you as well, little lion." "You won't neither." "You won't neither," she said, trying her best to look angry. She wiped her eyes and left him standing beside the mounds. When she reached the mouth of the cave, she called back, "You ever change your mind, you come find me, you hear?" Nippy didn't answer. Isabel and Jesse headed away back down the trail for the truck. At some point, they thought they caught the sound of the Shawnee chanting.